All right, guys, we're going to get started. It's 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. We're going to start right on time. This is an exciting week in our series because up until now we've been talking about some very basic things for different sales approaches, a little bit about business building with web centers, and just about the opportunity behind the web center program in general. So today, we're going to talk about some creative strategies for setting appointments and finding leads. In addition, we're going to talk about how to build value in these appointments so that you have a higher quality appointment that you're setting with our product specialist and you have a higher probability of landing with a sale. So I'm really excited. Before we get started and I tell you a little bit more specifically what we're going to be talking about, let's just go over a few reminders. Number one, remember this is a weekly webinar, so every week we're going to be talking about different topics, right? Next week we're going to be talking all about the product itself. We're going to go over some features and benefits and some comparisons. How do we, stack up against some of these other options that traditional businesses have? We're also going to talk a little bit about what are our customers actually saying. We hear all the time, we want to see live sites. Well, we're going to do better than that. We're going to give you some actual testimonials from, actual business owners that are using our solution and having a really great experience with it and seeing results for their business. So that's what next week's going to be all about. Just a couple of quick reminders. You can send us questions by simply typing your question in at the end or at the bottom of your screen. There's a place to type in a question. And then what I'll do at the end is I will, take as much time as it's needed and I'll make sure to answer all of your questions. So also, all of these webinars are being recorded and, barring any technical difficulties, they will be uploaded on mawc411.com. So far, the first 4 weeks have gone great, and you can go to that website and you can click on training and support and then on webinars, and you can go ahead and review and rewatch the webinars from the previous 4 weeks. So that's really exciting. So let's talk about what we're going to cover tonight. We're going to give you 7 areas that you can use to expand your names list and get better leads. So we have an exciting speaker, and I'll talk to you a little bit about him, but he's going to be talking about expanding your names list, how to create value in your product and with the product specialist, how to create urgency so that your appointments have a little bit of urgency to actually land in a sale sooner rather than drag you along for several weeks or several months. And then we're going to switch it over to mixing majors. A lot of people with Market America, a lot of distributors, they sell other products, right? Or they have people in their organization that sell other products. So we're going to talk about how you might be able to merge and marry the two so that you can get with your salon owners and work with people in your organization that are doing TLS in different gyms and things like that so that you guys can work together to get more warm contacts and get more website leads. Then we're going to talk a little bit about referral fees and how to effectively use them to get new leads, and then how to find who's even looking for websites. How do you, search the internet and search different various outlets to find new leads. And finally, we're going to end with talking about what we are calling the 15-minute consultation. We'll get more specific about that in a little bit. So that leads me to Brian Wall. Now, we've been talking about hearing from Brian Wall for quite a while. I mean, everybody's just been dying to hear from him. Not only is he the director of sales at MA Web Centers, he's probably the highest requested product specialist that we know of. He's so good at what he does. He's been doing this for such a long time. I know it's been over 10 years. He's been doing it longer than I've been doing it for sure. And one of the really cool things about Brian is he really cares. When distributors call him and they want to have, just a couple of questions to figure out how they can do better, Brian takes the time to do it. Not only does he do the product specialist job of, and the director of sales job of actually running really great appointments for your website customers, but he also takes it upon himself to coach distributors so that they can continue to improve and continue to set more appointments. So we are so lucky that we have him on the call tonight. And I'm just so honored. Not only is he a great colleague, but he's also a friend. And I'm just happy that he's here with us to share all of his brilliant stuff that he's been coaching distributors on for years. So the stuff that he's going to be talking to you about tonight, it falls right in alignment with how we run things here at MA Web Centers. We only talk about things that work and things that are time tested. And if anybody's time tested anything, it's definitely Brian Wall. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a moment and unmute him and turn him into the panelist, the organizer, so that you can see his screen and he can take it over from there.
Wonderful. Sarah, what an introduction. Thank you so much.
You
Um, I have to say that Sarah has been absolutely wonderful having her on board, really playing a serious role with MA Web Centers here. And I'm really looking forward to, what we have planned in store for the future of MA Web Centers and all of the distributors involved. One of the first things that I would like to go over with you, with everyone this evening, is, as Sarah mentioned, creative ways to expand your names list. Now, obviously, as we see here, starting with people that you are familiar with. This is always going to be basis number one. Now, I know Sarah has already covered a lot of this stuff with the 90-day fast track webinars as well as some of the earlier webinars, but in creating a names list, you have to be willing to get yourself out there. The first thing you want to do is literally open your eyes and understand that this is a business. Think about how many businesses you go into on a monthly basis, and then look at other ways to really start creating that names list as far as people that you can prospect for potential website sales. Now, when you start with people that you know, friends, family members, Facebook buddies, business associates, these are all businesses that you can really, or individuals that you can really rely on to get your name out there, because these are people that already know you, people that already trust you. So building value on what you already have is going to be key. Okay. Now, a couple things that we are going to cover in just a moment. Businesses that you frequent on a regular basis. As I was saying, places that you go into, if you're not willing to talk about your business, then how are they even going to know that you have a business? How are they going to know that you provide a service that's going to be, beneficial for them? But it all starts with, putting yourself out there, like I was saying a moment ago. Just literally speaking to, every single business that you walk into. Look around. See if that business has, specials going on, or promotions, or, is the business slow, or are they busy? Is there a number of clientele in that business? If they're slow, obviously they can probably use your help. So we're going to talk about how we can help them. Now, one of the things that I would like to touch on, regarding companies that provide services for you, is these are already companies that are providing services to you. So if they're providing you a service, why not offer them an opportunity to provide them a service as well? Think about your insurance agent. Think about your landscape company. Think about your pest control company. These are all places that you can really go after, if you just talk about the fact that you provide this service. Now, an important part in building your Market America Web Center business is understanding that as you begin this approach, okay, you want to establish some level of confidence in what you're doing. I know everybody's nervous when they first get out there. They're nervous about talking to people. They don't know a lot about what we do here at MA Web Centers. They know that we have a great solution. They know that we've helped thousands and tens of thousands of businesses to take their business to a totally new level. So, besides knowing that, what else do we need to know to be able to be confident in our approach? Get to know your business. Okay? It's a very simple thing. You don't have to, become a technical genius. You don't have to become an expert. You just want to get to know your business. Now, another important part of prospecting is networking yourself, which we've kind of talked about briefly, and just simply getting yourself out there, talking with other businesses. This is all a part of networking. The more that you network yourself, the more people are going to come to you rather than you have to constantly go out to others. Okay? Switch to the next slide if I'm doing this right. All right. Now, as I was talking about getting your name out there, social media is a huge thing. Everybody's using social media nowadays. Facebook, Twitter, Google Buzz. I mean, just about anything out there that you can. LinkedIn is a big one when it comes to talking to business professionals. So getting your name out there on the social media wave is going to be very important. Obviously, it takes just a matter of seconds to go in there and post a tweet, or post something on your wall on Facebook. You know, get this information out there. In fact, one of the things I recommend to all of our web center owners is don't just rely on your personal Facebook to work for you. Set up a business Facebook page as well. Tie that in with your personal one. Get some likes going on there. Get some people, going in and liking your web center Facebook page. Remember, this is very important because the more that you can tie back to your business, again, the more traffic you're going to have coming to you. Now, word of mouth, obviously, we've discussed that a little bit. Just simply getting your name out there, getting people talking about, what MA Web Centers is all about, what your personal business is all about, I think is going to be very relevant in creating a successful business here. Now, online marketing is key. Obviously, that's what we do. That's the product that you sell is an online marketing tool that gives business owners complete control over everything that they're going to do to create this online marketing strategy. Every single distributor within Market America, not just the web center owners themselves, but every single distributor within Market America has the ability to purchase a distributor recruiting site, a DRS site. Now, I'm not sure how many people already have one, but if you think about what this DRS site is, it's the MA Web Centers product. It's the same exact product that you're selling to other customers. So, if you have your own DRS site and you're learning how to work with that and you're seeing the benefits of that and you're promoting your own self out there on the search engines, well, guess what's going to happen? Your confidence is going to grow. Your confidence in being able to actually go out there and present this product, knowing that you yourself are using this product, is going to be an all-time high. Okay? So it's very important that everybody out there, that especially the web center owners, get your distributor recruiting site. All you have to do is go to explorema.com, set up your distributor recruiting site. It's very easy to do. And then you can work with our live chat support team, and they can teach you step by step on how to get your own presence developed. Treating your business like a business. A lot of people come into a business where the investment is very minimal. And because that investment is minimal, they don't necessarily put the effort that they should into building the business. Fact is this, fact number one, if you sell one website, you're basically earning the equivalent of what it's going to cost to run your web center for the first year or two, if not more. One website sale. But you're also earning the BV on top of that. Just think about that one little element and then start treating your business like a business. Set up a separate area within your home where you can focus, where you can prospect. When you go out to look at other businesses, know that you personally have a business that can supply something to them that can make their business more successful. Okay? The other things that you also want to do is anything that can, again, drive traffic your way. Remember, treating your business like a business. Every business is going to do advertising to promote their business. Now, once you've made a couple of sales through your web center, why not use some of that money to invest in the business cards, brochures, anything that you can use to get the word out there that you're providing this service? I mean, obviously, we have the Facebook. We have the DRS site. We have the social media, right? We have the word of mouth. Get your information out there. Let people know what you're doing. The more people that know about the service you provide, the more clients are going to come to you. So again, treat your business like a business. Seeing the truth of the opportunity. The thing that I put together for this is very important because if you really understand the opportunity that lies ahead of you, okay, I want you to really picture this. Millions and millions and millions of businesses out there, small to mid-sized businesses, do not have websites, even still today. And even a lot of those businesses that do have websites, let's just say they're more like online brochures than a complete online marketing strategy. I'm sure you'd all agree with me there, and so would they. So if you see the truth of the opportunity that lies in front of you, you provide an incredible product that helps every single business take their business from ground level, And I don't care if they've been in business for 1 year, 10 years, 15 years, it doesn't matter. Takes their business from that ground level that they're at right now and helps them to create this online marketing strategy that takes their business to that level that they originally thought about where they wanted to be when they first started their business. Okay, we're going to tap into that a little bit more later. And as I talked about earlier, confidence. Remember, confidence is absolutely key. You offer a great product, do not hesitate to talk to people about it. Okay? The more you do, and this is one of the reasons, and I'm sure Sarah will agree with me here, this is one of the biggest reasons why we really suggest that the first people that you approach are people that you know. Because if you approach people that you know first, you're going to build your confidence in working with it. You're going to build your confidence in scheduling those appointments. You're going to build your confidence in the product specialists that are actually doing these presentations for you. You're going to become confident in the entire process. Remember, this business is set up all for you to where all you have to do is become the maitre d' of a restaurant and welcome the guests to the table. MA Web Centers provides everything else for you. The technology, the service, the support, everything they need, we take care of for you. Just bring them to the table. Okay? Next thing we're going to cover, creative ways, again, just expanding your names list. I want you to think outside the box when it comes to this, okay? And when I say think outside the box, you know, one of the things I did with a lot of new web center owners, and this was back in the day, probably 8, 9 years ago. I've been involved in marketing for quite some time, even prior to joining MA Web Centers. But one of the things that a lot of businesses used to do, and they still do today, is go into let's say a donut shop, a deli. You know, some of these small mom and pop shops that serve food and things like that to business professionals for lunches and whatnot. And first and foremost, sell them a website, or I should say, schedule an appointment with them. Let us sell them a website. Okay, that's step number one. Step number two is see if those small restaurants, donut shops, delis, talk to them about placing a jar, kind of like a nice, good-sized plastic jelly bean jar or something like that, specifically to collect business cards from their clients for an opportunity to win a free website setup. Now, this would obviously provide you with an extensive list of business owners who are looking for a better solution for their online marketing. So if you have, let's say, 5 jars in 5 different locations with people putting business cards in there every day, and you collect those jars, let's say, once a week, right? By the end of the month, you may have sold 10, 15 websites, possibly, right? Even if, let's say you sell a minimum. Let's say out of all those jars, you sell 5 websites, and let's say you sell those websites at, let's be very generous. Let's say you sell those websites at $1,000 a pop. So a $1,000 sale equals $750 cash profit for you. If we multiply $750 cash profit times 5 websites, and remember, this is a very, very minimum figure, that's $3,700. $3,750 cash profit. So, as a business owner, would you be willing to pay $250 to buy a website for one of those companies every month to earn $3,750? I think most of you would. Again, this is thinking outside the box. Okay, there's a number of other strategies you can come up with. In fact, here's another one. Talk to your city's business licensing division. Find out if they post the new businesses that just received their licenses online. This is public information, so you should be able to have access to it. If not online, possibly go down to the business licensing office, and they probably have the information that they'll print out for you. But that's something that you can also check into. Obviously, if these are new businesses just receiving their business licenses, guess what they need? Online marketing. And guess what you provide? The best online marketing solution out there. Okay? So again, these are other ways that you can definitely build that prospecting list. The other things you can do is you can go through Yellow Pages. You can look at the ads. I mean, this is something people have been doing for over a decade with MA Web Centers, but it still works. There's still companies, and I know I don't believe it either, but they're still there. We still receive a phone book every 6 months on our doorstep that most of us just toss in the trash or recycle. Okay? Bottom line is, there's a lot of leads in that phone book. It's huge. Don't be afraid to pick it up. Don't be afraid to go through it. Okay? The other thing I also wanted to talk about is visit other websites. I know there's a lot of you out there that are going to be doing phone prospecting. Okay. Notice I did not use the term cold call. One of the best things that you can do to be successful is eliminate any negative terminology from your verbal data bank. Okay. Using the word cold call automatically makes that call cold. Remember, you're prospecting. You're offering businesses an incredible opportunity. There is never going to be anything cold about this. So if you're prospecting via the phone, excellent. Here's some different techniques you can do. You can go to places like yellowpages.com, superpages, so on and so forth, companies that are advertising other businesses on their websites. Go through there. See if they have a website. If they do have a website, click on the link. Is it a decent website? Okay? Remember, even if they have a great website, remember one of the new things that we're offering that they probably still don't have, a mobile website. So every business, even those that have websites, are still a wonderful prospect for you. Please do not forget that. Very, very important. As you can see, through using different strategies like this, thinking outside the box, you can really become successful with your web center business. Now, the next thing I wanted to talk about is planning and strategies. Come up with a plan. Come up with a plan of how you're going to approach your business. How you're going to be able to go out and do this prospecting. Now, some people do it just randomly, and there's a lot of web center owners that are very successful doing that. They'll just walk into any business anytime and just talk, about the opportunity and schedule appointments, which is great. But if you are working a full-time job and you have children and your children play sports, your time may be limited. Or maybe they do dance or, singing lessons or whatever else. Because I know Sarah's a dance instructor, so I have to throw that out there. But, we're busy, right? So make your plan. Obviously, if you only have 2 hours a week to run your web center business, use that 2 hours a week. Dedicate your time to that 2 hours a week for your web center business. Okay? Don't say, okay, you know what? I don't have that extra 2 hours this week and put it off. Dedicate whatever time you can and use that time and create a plan to prospect. However you want to do it, just make sure that you do it. Okay? And building from referrals. Now, obviously, this is something you're going to do once you've started selling websites. In fact, there's a gentleman that I've worked with. In fact, I still work with him today, a web center owner, that every single customer that he talks to, or I should say every prospective customer that he talks to, he brings up referrals. Every single person. And the reason why is he knows that he's offering a great product. But if the customer that he's talking to or the prospective customer that he's talking to is not interested for whatever reason, maybe they don't want to have somebody control the website, or maybe they don't want to control the website themselves, or maybe maybe they're in a contract. There's different reasons why people might not see this as an opportunity for themselves. But if you have created a valuable rapport with every single person that you're talking to, why not suggest that, if you have any other business associates that are looking for something to, help, take their business to a different level with a new online marketing strategy, here's my number. Throw it out there. It doesn't hurt to throw it out there. And you know what? He gets a lot of referrals from companies that don't even do business with him. Okay? So building from referrals is very good. But remember, if you're building from the referrals of people that are using your solution, those referrals are even going to be stronger. Okay? Now, Next thing we're going to jump onto is building value in the actual appointment itself. Now, this starts with one simple word: care. Now, this is actually a strategy I developed years ago. It's kind of the sales technique that I've lived my entire life on when it comes to my marketing life in sales. CARE basically stands for compassion, awareness, relevance, and evaluate. The first thing you have to have is compassion. If you are just going into these businesses or you just calling these businesses because you want to sell and you want to make cash, you're going to go so far. Not so far. Okay? If you truly care about these businesses in every single one that you approach, you want to see this business become more successful. You want to see this business owner, be able to reach that dream that they had when they originally opened their doors. Okay, when you truly care about these people, that's going to show in your tone. It's going to show in your approach. It's going to show in your questions that you're asking them, that you genuinely care about this business. Okay, when you do that, that is step number one in building a great rapport with these people. Okay, awareness. You want to be aware of the type of business that you're calling. You want to be aware of the actual business owner themselves. That's why it's important to ask questions about what they do. And we'll get into some of those important questions momentarily. So you want to become aware. Relevance. One of the things people do not like to do is they do not like to pay for things that they are not going to use. I'm sure everybody would agree with that. So, if you're talking to a business owner that does pest control services, right, and he doesn't sell any products at all, we're probably not going to talk about the e-commerce solution with that particular business owner. We're going to focus more on the appointment scheduling calendar or the appointment scheduling tool. We're going to talk more about the ability to promote his business out to his local area. There's certain things that we're going to, talk about with every single business owner that's going to be relevant to their business. And then evaluate. Evaluate the situation. Is this going to be a prospect that you want to work with? Because trust me, there's some people out there that you do not want to work with. No matter how much you care about helping their business become successful, there's going to be people that they don't care, you know, and that's okay. It's up to them on how they feel about their business or where they want their business to go. You cannot help everybody. So evaluate the situations and make sure you're focusing on clients that are going to be quality for scheduling appointments with. Okay? Now, I know we're running a little bit short, but I am going to cover a couple more things, including more on building value. Building value in you is the first and most important thing, okay? Because you are the key. You're the first person this prospect sees. You're the first person this prospect talks to. So you have to build value in who you are. And I don't mean go in and talk about your background, go on and talk about your history. I mean create value by talking to these customers about their business. Ask questions about their business and show your genuine interest. Okay? And some of these questions can be very simple. Questions like, how long have you been in business? It's a very simple question that you're going to ask, but even that the answer that's going to follow it can lead into so many other questions. Like let's say for example, I asked John, "How long have you been in business, John?" And he says 5 years. Excellent. Well, let me ask you. Where would you say you've done most of your advertising over the past 5 years? So see how that led into another question that's going to give me some information of value. Where have you done most of your advertising over the past 5 years? Right? And then another question you can ask on top of that is, what would you say, John, sets you apart from your competition? Okay? Very simple questions that you can ask that shows a genuine interest. And then, of course, you can ask additional questions. What type of marketing budget are you working with? To get an idea of where you can actually price your websites at to fit into your customer's budget. It doesn't hurt to throw that question out there. And another question you can ask is, how's your website working for you? Now, this customer may not even have a website, but if I just randomly ask that question, he may come back and say, you know what, I don't have a website. Or he may say, It's okay, but I wish there was more I can do with it. Okay, you're going to get an answer that can lead into more. So just it's important to make sure that you're asking questions. Okay. The next thing, building value in the customer's desires to increase their business. And as you notice, one of the things I've talked about throughout the during the call is, the business owner's dream. Okay, every business owner, when they first open their doors, they have a dream of where they want their business to be a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now. In fact, every single one of you, when you signed up with Market America, you had a dream of where you wanted your business to be, right? Okay. Well, we want to remind that customer about that dream. So when you're building value in the customer's desire to increase their business, ask them. And it's a very simple question. When you first started your business, John, where did you see your business 5 years down the road? Where did you see yourself today? You know what? 85% of business owners out there are not where they anticipated being when they first opened the doors. 85%. That's a huge number. So when you get that response back, it gives you a perfect lead in to ask the right question, or to actually get them to schedule an appointment. And there's a simple line I actually want to read to you that can really verify that. If you use the term, let's hold on one second. I have it right here. I do apologize. I've been kind of going off of my notes a little bit here. Okay, let's just do it this way. If I can show you a way where you can not only save money on your advertising, but you can increase your clientele 10 times over, and at the same time establish a whole level of online credibility that would just mesmerize you. Would you be willing to sit down with me for maybe 30 to 45 minutes and talk to one of my product specialists? Most business owners are going to jump on that opportunity. But what they're doing is they're not jumping just on that opportunity. It's because you've shown that you cared up to that point, and you're going through three major elements that are very important to a business owner. And bottom line is, every business owner wants to take their business to that next level. They just need to trust you. Okay, that's why building that rapport is so important. And of course, the final thing you'll see here is building value in the product specialist. So, product specialists, I'm sure all of you would agree, are absolutely imperative, right? Right. So building value in the product specialist, you know, let's just say that these people have been doing this for years. Myself, my team, we've been working with online marketing for years. And we know how our solution works, and we know how our solution is going to work for almost every single business owner out there. Now, of course, there's certain things that Market America, does to, or MA Web Centers does to provide, custom database development and stuff like that, which traditionally isn't in our software. But if there's things that people need outside of our software, we will know how to talk to them about those options. Okay? But as far as the overall solution itself, that's what we want to focus on. And so when you're emphasizing the value of the product specialist, use certain terms like, when I schedule this appointment with our product specialist, this guy knows everything about the solution. He's been working with businesses over the past, 10 years to help them to develop a whole online marketing strategy that allows them to cut back a lot of their advertising expenses. Because think about that. What your website essentially is going to be for your business is your centerpiece, right? The what I like to call the nucleus of your marketing. So if we can build value in the product specialists and and what they're going to be able to show, not necessarily talking about the tools or the solution, but just be excited. If you say we're going to call with one of our product specialists and they're going to show you this demonstration and I hope you like it. And, I mean, there's no excitement there. You have to have that excitement. You have to have that emphasis that what these people are going to be seeing is literally something that will, again, take their business to that next level. Okay? Remember, this is very, very important. If you're not excited about it, your customers are not going to be excited about it. Okay? Now, here's a few statements that I threw out here that I think are going to be very, very important, when you are scheduling the appointments. Okay? If you allow me, or in fact, this is the statement I was just talking about. No wonder why I couldn't find it. Um, if you would allow me 30 to 45 minutes or so of your time, we will show you how you can cut back on your advertising expenses, increase your sales and clientele, as well as create a significant presence online. I know right now we have been, I know right now, oh, sorry. I know right now we've been working with a lot of businesses as of late with the end of the year coming up, but I will make sure we can get an appointment for you sometime this week. Okay? So what I just did there was I just created value in getting them an appointment. You want to make your customers feel special. And if you can schedule an appointment for them this week, by all goodness, do it. Okay? And then notice what I put at the end there. What day works best for you and your partners? So instead of how I originally presented that, okay, the way I did it here is to where it's not actually a question. It's a statement, and then the only thing that's a question at the end is what day would work best for you and your partners. Okay? That's a key way to do that. Sarah, I know I'm going a little bit longer than I thought, but give me just a few more minutes.
Fine, take your
The
time.
next statement here.
Absolutely fine. I want you to just take your time and
Okay.
get through your stuff.
All right, very good. The next statement here. Do you look at marketing or advertising as an expense for your business? Ask this question to any business owner. I know I didn't talk about this to Sarah, but I've done a little bit of research and I realized that most businesses look at marketing as an expense. They actually have something in their books called marketing expense. Okay? Then what you say is, we'll show you during the online demonstration, how you will realize what we do is an investment into the growth of your business. Okay? Very important to use that word, investment. Because I don't care if a customer pays $1,500 for their website. I don't care if a customer pays $2,500 for their website. Obviously, we're going to work with what's going to be best for them, depending on the design packages or whatnot. So when you go through a statement like this, if they spend $1,500 for their website, and within that first year they make $50,000 more than they did the year before, is that a $1,500 expense or a $1,500 investment? It's an investment, because this is going to take their business to that new level that we continue to talk about. Okay? So again, that's a great statement to use when you're doing some of your prospecting and scheduling your appointments. Okay? The next thing I want you to look at is, if the next statement, if you use the term free demonstration, which I know a lot of you do, and there's nothing wrong with that. I know we actually teach that, free demonstrations. Make sure you understand that there's no value in the word free. Okay? Customers won't see the appointment as valuable if it's just a free demonstration that they can do anytime. You'll end up with a lot of cancellations if you just use the word free demonstration. But if you use something like what I've stated down here, when you use free demonstration, add, which will help take your company to that next level, right? Now all of a sudden that free demonstration has a little bit more value, doesn't it? Okay? So remember, don't just use the word free. Don't just throw it out there like it's, free. Make sure you put some value into that word. All right? And then, of course, the next thing we're going to touch on is creating urgency, because this is very, very important. I'm sure a lot of you have done walkthroughs out there that seem to take forever to close. Whatever the reason, whether the business owner has to go back and talk to their partner, which wasn't on the phone, or the business owner has to, set aside a budget that they weren't prepared for, or whatever the case may be. But if we create urgency from the very beginning, we're going to be better off. So, creating urgency, there's actually two types of methods in creating urgency: direct or subconscious. Okay? I personally think that either way can be very productive. And if you're creating urgency, here's one method of creating urgency that's very, very positive. And this actually ties into, promotions and things like that, which we'll also talk a little bit more about. But using seasonal periods to create value depending on the industry that you're working with. Like, for example, if you're dealing with a retail shop, stress the importance of getting something of quality up and running before the holidays. It only makes sense. If you're dealing with landscaping companies or companies that provide outdoor services, hit them up during the winter. Obviously, they probably want to have their websites up and running by the spring season, and they're probably going to be a little bit slower during the winter season. Okay? So hit them up during the winter season and, really emphasize the value of having something ready to go by the time people are picking up that phone or searching through the web. Consider the businesses you're dealing with and become a customer in a sense to stress the value from their own client's perspective. Okay? I'm not saying you have to become their client. I'm saying just envision yourself as a customer and think about what would be beneficial for you. Okay? The next thing, working with business owners. Remember the reason why they became business owners in the first place, right? Every business owner wants one thing specifically above all everything else, and that's control. Control is absolutely imperative. So, since control is so important, here's another way that we can create greater urgency. In fact, this is just a simple statement I put together. Excuse my assumption, John, but I think that you are the type of person that likes to man the reins of your business. Am I right? What business owner is going to say no? Every single one of them is going to say yes. Okay? So after you say that, in today's world, the online representation of your business is one of the most important things a business owner has to focus on. The problem is, for most, is that someone else controls that critical part of their business. We will change that for you. When we sit down and go through this demonstration, you are literally going to become your own master of your destiny or your own master of your online marketing. Something that is going to give them that little boost of confidence that they're going to be able to have more control. I can't tell you how many business owners I've worked with that are just fed up with somebody else running their website, where they have the cost factors weighing over their decisions, the time constraints of working with somebody else weighing over their decisions. It's just business owners don't like to feel like their own decisions on running their business are based on something that they can't control. And I'm sure you'd all agree. So, if they feel like they're going to have more control over what they're doing, that appointment is going to have more value. And again, remember, this is not something that you have to create as a difficulty, to where you have to spend a half an hour with every single customer. A lot of these things can be done within a matter of a few minutes. Okay? Keep it simple. Go in there, create the value, and keep it simple. Okay? Now, another thing I also wanted to stress here is that creating urgency about getting the site started sooner than later. When you schedule an appointment, when we go through a walkthrough demonstration and the customer is not ready to purchase their website, like let's say, for example, you're scheduling the appointment and the customer says, well, I'm really just looking right now. I haven't even started my business, and I'm probably not going to start my business for about 8 months from now. Okay, this is not an ideal client that you're going to want to do a presentation for, because by the time they decide they're going to purchase a website, everything we've gone over with them has been forgotten. Okay? Touch base with that person 6 months, a few months prior to them starting their business. That would be a better time to actually go through a presentation. Okay? When you're creating urgency about a customer getting started with their website right away, that was like I was talking about earlier. Retail businesses, Christmas, outdoor type service-oriented businesses, winter, the springtime. Okay? And then, of course, create urgency with in having all the decision makers on the call. If you guys schedule the appointments and you don't have all the decision makers on the call, most likely you're relying on somebody else to sell the product for you. If we do a walkthrough presentation for let's say we're working with a dental office, and we do a walkthrough presentation for the office manager because the head dentist was not available for the call. Well, we can do the walkthrough for the office manager, and she may be a tech savvy genius, and she may love the software. But when she takes this back and shows it to the dentist, the only thing the dentist is really going to hear is about the cost. So he's not going to have the opportunity to be sold on the value of what this complete web solution provides. Because typically everybody's just thinking about a website, and websites can be really cheap, or at least the online brochures can be. Okay, so make sure that you're creating an urgency to have all the decision makers on the call. And it's very simple to do this. When you ask, like let's say for example, the office manager at this dental office, when we'll call her Terry. When I ask Terry, Terry, when we schedule this appointment, will John, the dentist, be available for the call as well? If Terry says, unfortunately he wouldn't be available for the call, the next thing I'm going to ask is, well, let me ask you, what are your office hours there? Okay? Because now that we have a sales support staff that can accommodate nearly any hours during the week, you can schedule that appointment before or after the office hours. And if there's enough value in what we're providing to them, right, that dentist is going to make sure he's on that call. I promise you, every decision maker can be on the call for every single call if you ask. And then remember, they do not have to be at the same location during the presentation. They can be at different locations. There can be multiple people at different locations. Every product specialist does the presentation with GoToMeeting, and we can do the screen sharing, we can do the phone connections, we can make sure that we can accommodate your clients. And then, of course, create urgency through promotions. Now, the reason why I say this is because a lot of web center owners, when we first get started, and the average cost of the web center as far as what they're selling for right now does range between around $1,000, $1,299, $1,500, around that range, which is great. And then, of course, with design packages and everything on top of that, so they do sell for a lot more than that as well. But when you're just getting started with your business, the first thing that you want to do is you want to get your name out there. You want to get people familiar with what you do. And the best way to do that is by having a promotion. I've taught this strategy with many web center owners over the years. Web center owners that were not just focused on how much they were going to make off of every sale, but they were more focused on actually building their business. And I'm not just talking about the web center business. I'm talking about their Market America business. Okay? And the reason why this grand opening promotion strategy works is I'm going to just use an example. Let's say you as a web center owner have a promotion in your local area for small to mid-sized businesses where you're going to sell your first 20 websites for, let's say, $6.99 each, right? $6.99 minus that $250 wholesale cost is going to leave you a profit of $450. Now, if we multiply that $450 by those 20 websites, you end up with a $9,000 profit. That's just your cash profit. That's not your BV. If you multiply that 20 websites by that 200 BV, well, guess what you have? 4,000 BV. And let's not forget about that 25 recurring BV every single month, right? Don't want to forget about that. So what do you have there? That's right, 200 BV every single month. Sorry, 400 BV every single month. But the whole idea is that, you can build your business by selling the website at a promotional discount to get people familiar with who you are, familiar with the services that you provide, familiar with the products that you're offering. And in essence, what you're doing here is you're building a foundation for your business. And anything that's going to be successful, you have to start with a solid foundation. So if you build a solid foundation, think about the referrals that you're going to get from there, right? Think about, how many times you're going to be able to send your customers that you're working with over to these customers' websites as references so they can see the value of what they received. Okay? So it's very important to be able to do promotions like this to help launch your business. And there's a number of promotions that you can do. You can do promotions like, holiday promotions. You can do promotions like, let's say, for example, you wanted to do a um, a promotion for tax season, summer promotion, any kind of promotion you want to do, end of the year promotion, New Year's promotion, any kind of promotion you want to do, you can do for your business. Bottom line is people like when they are getting a special price, and if you can offer that special price to them and help them get their business out there on the web, by all means, build your business. And here's the other thing that really keys in on this. As a Market America distributor, your focus is to bring people onto your business, right? To build your organization. Well, there's no better way to build an organization than to build by showing your own success. And this is the best way that you can be successful. So I thank all of you for giving us this opportunity or giving me this opportunity tonight. I know that Sarah is going to cover some more information. So, Sarah, thank you very much for the time. I hope you guys enjoyed the presentation.
Awesome. I'm just gonna go ahead and switch the screen over, and then we're gonna transfer right over there. So hold on.
Very good.
All right. Thank you, Brian.
Oh, it was my pleasure, Sarah.
All right. Let me mute this. All right, Brian, that was exceptional. I really appreciate that. And you guys, like I said, Brian coaches people on this stuff all day long. So do you think he knows the kinds of questions that business owners have all the time? And I mean, he just gets these questions every day, all day. He gets them for breakfast and he gets them for lunch. So I'm really excited that he was able to share all of that with us. So I'm going to move on and I'm going to cover three more quick things. I'm going to talk about retailing through other Market America retail specialties and some specifics for how I handle referrals, because I think that referrals are an awesome way to get website leads because they're warm, they're friendly, they're easy, and prospecting is easy with them. And then I want to lead up to a little bit about the 15-minute pre-consultation is what we're calling it, and that's going to lead into and it's just going to reiterate a lot of the questions that Brian was already suggesting that you ask. So let's just get right into it. So do you sell other Market America products? Are you selling motives? Are you selling TLS? Are you working with Nutrimetrics? Have you thought about building share of customer? I don't know about you guys, but when I sell motives, I do sell motives. I also offer the champion blend because I think, or I also offer to, my customers to try aloe because it makes sense. It helps with skin, or it helps with just general health in general. You can marry different retail specialties really, easily. And I think that it happens for other, tangible products all the time. But, have you ever thought about tying in a website appointment for your customers that are business owner networks for other products? So let's just talk about that. The first thing you have to understand is, just like Brian said, you have to have a plan. You have to understand your positioning when you're doing this because you need to be opening the door in an appropriate way, right? You don't want to be presenting yourself as the jack of all trades, the master of none. If you are working with TLS inside of a gym or a health club, you definitely don't want to be approaching the owner of that gym and being like, and by the way, I also am a web solutions person. You know what I mean? So, that's why I'm going to recommend that when you are tying different majors together retail wise, that you use a referral approach, right? um, and basically just making a referral for the business solution instead of just saying that you offer, vitamins, weight loss solutions, and websites, if that makes sense. Also, think about yourself as a business solutions person, right? Brian said it over and over again, right? You own your own business, own your own business, own your own business, take it seriously. And instead of looking at yourself as a vitamin person or a motives person or whatever, think about, and when you're working with salons or when you're working with gyms or you're working with practices, doctors' practices, think of yourself as a business solutions person, right? Nutrimetrics does an incredible job of this. They are not vitamin salespeople when they're talking to doctors. What they are is a health solution that doctors can implement into their practices while also creating ancillary income. So we're no different than that. I want to give you some examples. So let's say that you or even somebody in your Market America organization is implementing TLS into a gym, right? If it's not you, I'm sure that you know somebody that is running a TLS 12-week session in a gym, right? So one of the first things that you can do is know if they have a website, right? Know if their website's being updated. Think about all of these things so that you can have some questions prepared when you reach out to the business owner. Here's how you can do that. And I think it's funny that Brian used John as his example because I used John in my example. So apparently we're thinking about the same arbitrary person. So anyway, moving on. Say something like, hey, John, TLS has been going great here at the gym. You know, we're so excited to be here working with everybody. Listen, I was checking out your website to share with my people, but I noticed it hasn't been updated in a while. Have you, do you update your website? And then he will respond to that. And you might say something like, after you've asked a couple of questions, like, okay, so you don't update your website? Well, why not? Do you have somebody that used to do it for you? Why aren't you updating your website? Or, okay, whatever other questions you had prepared that's relevant for that particular business, right? Eventually it's going to lead to, John, obviously I'm here to work with your clients for TLS and getting them to be healthy, but and it's not an area I specialize in, but the company that we work with, they do have an entire division that might be able to help you out with that. I can get you an appointment with one of our incredible product specialists and they can go over some more information with you. What typically works best for you, mornings or afternoons? By edifying that it is a great company, that's good, right? Because they already know that it's a great company. They have an in because they're working with TLS in the gym. They know that the products are bringing great value to their clientele. So why would of course you would be making a great recommendation for other areas of the business that we have as well. So, by creating that connection and connecting the dots for the business owner that way, you're already just making a strong referral and they're already going to take your referral with more weight and more value. So I just want to go through a couple of recommendations. I went through this last night on my fast track call, but we're going to move on quickly. If you or someone in your group is working with isotonics or nutrimetrics, they're probably working with doctors, personal trainers, physical therapists, chiropractors, dentists, gyms, naturopaths, nutritionists, diabetes consultants, all of those. If you or somebody in your group is working with motives, they probably are working with salons or spas or nail technicians or dermatologists, photographers, makeup artists, weddings and bridal shows, personal care, stylists, runway shows. Does this make sense, you guys? I hope this is like getting your wheels turning. Pet health. People that work with pet health generally know veterinarians, pet groomers, doggy daycares, kennels, pet trainers, pet supplies and retail supplies. SNAP, restaurants, commercial cleaners, residential cleaners, maid services, office managers. These are just really, really good names list generators, right, guys? Auto care. If you know somebody that sells auto care, they're probably not just selling it directly to friends and family. They're probably also selling it to car detailers, auto repairs, travel companies, transport and trucking, fuel enhancers, car washes, car details, oil and repair shops, rental facilities, TLS. TLS is a big retail specialty. I mean, people get 12-week sessions going in doctors and pediatricians' offices, fitness facilities, gyms, personal trainers, dance studios, karate studios. This is all really, really relevant stuff that you may not have thought about, right? Because maybe you're thinking, well, yeah, of course I sell to my gym, or of course my gym owner knows about this, but I haven't thought about connecting the dots. The same thing is true, by the way, for working with people in your organization. And I'm going to give you some key phrases to help you to do that. The first thing that you need to do to take advantage of all of those other retail specialties is to teach your organization to make the referral for you. So aside from you retailing in different areas, you definitely have people in your group that are retailing in different areas as well. So you need to learn how to teach your distributors to send their business owners to you for a website, right? And one of the ways to incentivize that is to simply give them a referral fee. Now, firstly, you're going to want to teach your distributors what to say. And what you teach them is just make a referral. You don't teach them to sell features and benefits or sell websites. You just teach them how to make a referral, how to make that connection between the business owner and you. If you notice, all of the questions that Brian asked today or that he taught you to ask, they were not website technology related questions. They were questions about somebody's business. They were questions about marketing and advertising and where the business owner saw themselves in 5 years. It's the same kind of thing, you guys. We don't need to teach people how to learn about our product. We need to teach them to like simply just check out if the person has a website and make a referral to you. So let's talk about referral fees, right? These are the top three things that I do, and I truly do all three of these things. I don't think it's a one size fits all. If I am getting a referral from somebody in my that already is a customer of mine, I would definitely give them either a 10% retail of the retail profit and just give them a thank you, or just a flat rate of $100 or a shop.com gift card. Now, either one of these three things really works. Now, the reason I suggested 10% of the retail profit is because people sell websites for different amounts of money. So if you're selling your website for $6.99 because you just want to, sell run one of Brian's recommended promotions and just sell your first 10 or 20 websites at a lower cost, that's fine. But just understand, if you're only making $450, well, then you're giving out 25% of your retail profit. That doesn't really work. And that's why I want to make sure that 10% kind of covers you. It keeps you from having to give out too much money as a referral fee. A flat rate of $100, people choose flat rates because it's simple. And if it stays simple and it's clean and it's just, there's nothing to think about, sometimes people are just, more than happy to make a referral because they know they're going to get $100. And then a shop.com gift card. You guys, or like a gift card to restaurant.com or a gift card to, I mean, we did that for our new reality web solutions business page. Whenever we were trying to get new followers, we just said the next person to be our next 100th follower, we're giving out a $25 restaurant.com gift card. And that's really, really cool because not only are you giving gift cards and you're getting followers or you're getting website leads that close in sales, but you're also introducing them to shop.com. So personally, if you're, keeping the main thing, I really highly recommend using gift cards through shop.com and getting them to become a preferred customer on shop.com as an incentive, because they're going to get the cash value for that anyway, and you're going to get a website lead. So if that makes sense to you because you want to build your business as a whole, then it makes sense to me too. So I give referral fees to distributors in my organization when they refer me to a website, to my clients, to my friends, and to my family. Flat out. If a distributor in my group wants to sell a website through my web center, that's fine. I don't give them all the retail profit because they don't have to deal with running a web center business. If they want to keep 100% of the retail profit, that's fine. They can buy a web center for themselves. And but what I will absolutely do 100% of the time is give them a referral fee. You guys, referral fees are just an excellent way to get new leads that are warm and to incentivize people, to make it fun, and to keep your leads in your bean jar getting full. And then look for who's looking. Here's another great way to find some leads. So, sometimes when you're out prospecting, you don't know if the timing is right for them. And that can be really frustrating as a web center owner. So, my sister in law is actually doing a lot with this right now. She's been finding a lot of website leads on Craigslist because people are posting there, I'm looking for somebody who can fix our website situation. We're looking for a web designer. And a lot of times they're very specific when they're posting what they're looking for. They're saying, they want a website solution. They want someone that can do social media and SEO and email and all these other things that we have. So what's really cool about that is when you contact a person on Craigslist, for example, that is already in the market, it's not a big deal. You already know that they're looking. You already know exactly what they're looking for. So all you've got to do is just say, we can do that. I'd love to set up an appointment to talk about the specifics. What time works best for you? Typically mornings or afternoons, and just keep it going from there. Great places to look for people that are already in the market or that are looking for a website solution is Craigslist, newspaper ads, flyers, LinkedIn, and other online communities. one thing that I just want to warn you is that, you have to be very cautious with things like Craigslist, because sometimes people are just spamming and they just want to get your information, and you have to be careful and just make sure you do your due diligence and you're setting quality appointments. However, I can say that, different areas are better than others. Dana, she was able to set 2 website appointments last week, and both of them were truly in the market. She had great success with that. So do your due diligence, but definitely it is fun when you're looking for people that are already looking, because it just saves you a bunch of time, and you know that the person's truly in the market and they're ready to make a decision. You can share information with all of these people by just sharing some of our designs and some of our articles on our MA Web Center's Facebook page, or even just sharing the video. The video that exists right on your Web Center skin or at m.mawebcenters.com, which you can see right over here, is shareable information. You can send somebody a video where they can evaluate very quickly what our solution is really all about. And people love media. People love having the ability to just check something out for 2 minutes and see if they like it. And then the most important key part about sharing information, whether it's a brochure or a business card or a video or a design or whatever you're sharing, is always set the expectation that you will be following up with that person. So if I'm going to send a video to a prospect, I'll say, check out this video. I'm going to give you a call tomorrow and see what you thought. Make sense? Because then they're expecting your call and you're not just leaving the ball in their court. And finally, I just want to talk about this. It's the 15-minute consultation. Todd Lair was on the call last night, and he was talking about this concept that he does, and he's just kind of made it part of his routine. And listen, I know I do this anyway, and a lot of other successful web center owners do this as well. And it's just really nice to kind of put it into words and put it into a format. The concept behind this is just having a pre-meeting before the actual appointment, where you can actually data mine and get an idea for what's really important. A lot of times when you're just making that initial contact, and you're meeting a business owner or whatever, you only have a few minutes and you don't get it seems like the time flies by too fast, and you don't have enough time to ask all of the questions that you really wish you could have asked. So by scheduling a quick 15-minute phone conversation, you can ask a bunch of questions and really build value and show them that you care about the business. Just like Brian said in the beginning of this webinar, you get to demonstrate that you care and that you really want to know about their business, and you want to create something that's relevant from them. It all fits perfectly in alignment with Brian said for his care technique. And I love this. I love that this fits perfectly in with that. So here are some questions that I recommend asking in the 15-minute conversation, or if you have time to do it right away, you can do it right away. Questions. What is the primary focus of your business? Do you have any additional focuses? So for example, we just did an appointment with a roofing, siding, and windows company, and they said the primary bread and butter of our business is windows, but we really, really want to get more into exteriors and siding and roofing. So that was really helpful for us, because then the product specialist would know that, we want to make sure that they're plastered all over the search engines with windows, but we also want to start talking to them about growing the other parts of the business that they care about. Make sense? Which leads to the next question. Do you have any other areas that you would like to be growing in? Where do you get most of your customers? Do you get word of mouth? Awesome. Social media, that is word of mouth advertising. We can talk about that in the appointment. Do you do any other advertising? Do you have a current website? Do you participate in social media? If so, where can I follow you? Are you on Facebook? Are you on Twitter? Do you have a YouTube account? Do you guys blog? Do you offer any online incentives or referral fees? How are you showing up on the search engines? Are you happy with that? Can people find you when they go to Google? Do you have a way to track these visitors when they go to your website? How are you updating your website anyway? Do you guys do email marketing? You guys notice that a lot of the questions that I'm asking, I'm asking these questions because I like to know their situation, number one. But number two, all of these questions we have a solution for. When they say, no, we don't have email marketing, or yeah, but we don't use it enough, we can say I know that when we get them on the actual appointment with the product specialist, that the product specialist is going to be able to provide a solution for all of these questions that I'm asking. And it's really, really relevant. So What would you like to get out of having a website? What are your hopes for having a better website? Is there anything that I may not have asked you or that I may have missed that you would really want to make sure that we cover over the appointment? The important thing is to just get them talking about them, right? You're not going to be talking to them about the solution. And if they ask you, do you have that? Just say, yeah, we actually have a lot of information and we're going to cover that on the actual appointment. I want to take the time to just let you talk about all about your business so that I can make sure that this appointment we do with you is totally relevant and on par with what you're looking for, because I value your time, and I know you're going to value our time, and I want to make sure it's as effective as possible. So the more you can get them talking about themselves, the more not only are you going to get to know and build value for the product specialist, but the more they're going to trust you because you're building a friendly relationship. You can do this over the phone, you guys. You don't need to be face to face. Obviously, being face to face is going to have some benefits, but you can still build really great trust over the phone. Trust me, the product specialists do it all day, every day. So by asking questions and showing them that you care, you're going to do a lot of great things for your web center business. And I think you're going to see some really big changes in the quality of appointments that you're setting. So I just want to thank you for attending. I know that we covered a ton of information. Luckily, we did record this webinar. We will be making it available at mawc411.com, and we should be making that available as early as tomorrow. And it should be up by tomorrow, but if it's not, it definitely will be up by the end of this week. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to close off the recording. I'm going to mute myself, and I'm just going to take as much time as you guys need to answer any questions that you have that you may be typing in the question box. So thank you so much. I look forward to next week. Next week is all about comparing our product to every other solution. I get it all the time. What about GoDaddy? What about WordPress? What about, traditional developers or people that want to do it themselves? I'm going to give you all kinds of charts and graphs and show you the major differences between all of these other companies that exist and how our solution truly is the best of everything that's out there.